Show God.
Right then, let's start. When you walk into this encounter, you'll notice that the boss is surrounded by 5 forms of Drake. These Drakes are called the Slate Dragon, Nether Scion, Time Warden, Whelps and Storm Rider. Out of these 5, only 3 are interactable. To plan in advance and find out which Drakes you will face, there is a link to the spawn cycle in this tutorial's description. Regarding our 25-man raid composition, we generally take 3 tanks, 6 healers, and ranged with a healer off-spec to provide us with a certain degree of flexibility. Our kill order, irrespective of the spawn cycle, is generally as follows: Storm Rider, Time Warden, Nether Scion, Slate Dragon, and then last Whelps. Now then, the encounter itself starts with just Halfus and the Proto-Behemoth flying in the air behind him. Halfus doesn't actually have any abilities to start with, and the Proto-Behemoth will fire down fireballs all down at the raid. Stand apart to avoid the AoE effect from the fireball to begin with. You can't do anything about this Proto-Behemoth, so just heal through its damage. Now the boss has 116 million health and a 25-man raid, so when combined with a 6-minute enrage timer, a straight fight to the death will literally end in your deaths, hence why we have 3 interactable Drakes. Each Drake, when released, will immediately provide the boss with a buff, but also a debuff. More importantly, when that Drake is killed, the boss will be further debuffed by an effect called Dragon's Vengeance, which will boost all damage to Halfus directly by 100%. So let's go through each Drake's abilities. First of all, the Slate Dragon, when released, grants Halfus the effect Malevolent Strikes. This means whenever your tank gets hit by Halfus, he gains a 30 seconds stacking debuff that reduces healing received by 6%. The Drake will also periodically stun Halfus for 12 seconds with Stone Touch. Now, seeing as the tank debuff is longer than the effect of Stone Touch, you counter this by tank swapping. The Nether Scion, when released, grants Halfus the effect Frenzied Assault. This boosts Halfus' attack speed by 100%. The debuff he places on Halfus is called Nether Blindness, which reduces his damage, attack speed and hit chance by 25%. At this point you can really start to see where certain combinations of Drake are more deadly than others, having the boss applying a 6% healing reduction with each hit, plus being able to do this with 100% attack speed adds extra stress to your raid. The Time Warden, when released, grants the Proto-Behemoth an effect called Fireball Barrage. This allows him to periodically release streams of fireballs at your raid, each with an AoE effect. You can see where they're going to land and should move accordingly. Thankfully, the debuff the Time Warden gives the Proto-Behemoth is called Time Dilation, which reduces the fireball speed. The Storm Rider, when released, grants Shadow Nova to the boss. This is an AoE effect spell causing some 30k damage to all players in the raid. Thankfully again, the debuff placed upon Halfus is called Cyclone Winds, which increases the casting time of said Shadow Nova to 1.5 seconds and makes it interruptible. Make sure you keep an interrupter on that boss at all times if this effect is in place. The final Drake, which is in fact a set of Drakes, are the 8 Whelps. When released, they grant the Proto-Behemoth the effect Scorching Breath. This is a large fire breath effect that will hit all the raid. Simply heal through it. The Whelps will also debuff the Proto-Behemoth with a Trophic Poison. This basically reduces the damage the Proto-Behemoth does by 6,000. Again, it's recognised that another nasty combination is the Time Warden and Whelps up, due to the extra damage inflicted on the raid. Now, when a Drake is released, Halfus will quickly bind it to his command, then you kill it and get the next stack of Dragon's Vengeance. Now, the best thing to do with this fight, if you're new to it, is just to experiment, really. Sometimes it's better to release Drakes one at a time and kill them, sometimes it's better to release more than one Drake, as the second debuff provided may help with the first Drake's buff. One example would be releasing the Whelp shortly after the Time Warden to reduce the damage of the Fireball Barrage. This allows a more even amount of incoming damage to the raid with less spikes. Regarding heroism, it's better to use this in Phase 1 rather than Phase 2 when Halfus hits 50%. Phase 1 is the harder phase really, and if you have 2 Drakes up then you'll definitely be wanting to use heroism at that point. Okay, so Phase 2. Halfus hits 50% and enters Phase 2. All of the Drakes should be dead by this point, or really you should be slapping somebody because they're not talking to the right mob. At this point Halfus gains a new ability called Furious Roar. When he casts this, he shouts 3 times in a row. Identified by expanding rings from Halfus' base, these rings knock everyone to the floor. Make sure player's health is topped up, as the Proto-Behemoth continues to attack during his time. All in all, this phase is pretty easy. There is one thing to note however: if you've killed the Storm Rider, then Halfus will have the Shadow Nova ability. He pretty much casts this straight after the last shout, and melee interrupters probably won't be able to interrupt it in time. To counter this, simply have a mage blink immediately after the 3rd knockdown and counterspell. Blink cancels the stun effect of the shout, enabling the mage to act instantly. So that's about it really. All in all, although initially complicated, the encounter is quite straightforward. I hope you have as much fun in it as we did. Good luck.
The worms will eat well tonight. The burden of the pair falls upon you.